Welcome to Tiny Hands Big Dreams, here on the homestead in southern Ecuador. You probably have dreams of a homestead or a thing, this picturesque, lovely farmhouse, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can picture it in your head. It's probably like Little House on the Prairie looking thing. It's probably like big flat land parcel. Everything's great.
You have your house, and you have your barn, and you have your one big garden, and you can kind of see all of it from like your kitchen window.
It's like those pictures on the internet of like, this can be your whole thing. Right? And it's all drawn out and it's great and it's in 2D and little like cartoony colors. And you're like, oh, that's great. Let me tell you why you maybe don't want that.
You might want to rethink that idea.
People ask us like, why do you not want flat land?
We are, in case you don't know, on a mountain.
Yeah, whole thing slope. There's flat sections, but mostly the whole thing is a slope. There is good reasons for it. Now, this all started, we were out, the news last night, what was sort of like terrifying locally, historic flooding. The river is crazy high, our river.
The Rio Zamora.
Yeah, not where we are, but upriver, a different area, the watershed for it, massive amounts of rain, flows downhill.
Yep.
So there's communities flooded. There's big bridges where the water has come up to and is hitting the deck of the bridge. You're imminent of failure. If it goes any higher, the hydro pressure pushes against it, and you could lose a major bridge.
And then you look at all the beautiful little plots of land right by the river that have their, all of their different crops there, and you probably thought, oh, it's very picturesque. It's very nice. It's
very nice
because that's kind of the flat land. Well, those are underwater now.
Yeah, fields, houses, things. There's one little town that their town flooded, not because the river hit their town, but because all the sewage pipes that ran to the river were now underwater and backflowing, and it pushed through the sewage pipes and flooded the entire town from their toilets.
It's so gross. Now that's
so gross.
A specific instance, but there are a lot of reasons why, honestly, a big plot of flat ground is not the best option.
There isn't. So historic weather events are becoming sort of the norm all over the world. We're not getting into the reasons why. I mean, you could argue about it, but it's not pertinent. But the fact that it is sort of happening is what you need to deal with. That's fair. So we look at oh God, where was it? It was just saturated last year in the U.S. Like huge areas of was it like corn growing areas, like the Midwest?
I mean, everywhere.
Or somewhere else, Australia had like some crazy floods, and then they're like, it's so flat, there's nowhere for the water to go.
Yep.
Just
oh yeah. Oh, the whole outback in Australia was just
a huge section, and they're just like,
it doesn't flow anywhere. It just sits.
But an inordinate amount of people in the world live near water, live near the ocean, live near a river, a stream, a something. Humanity has always settled by the water's edge in some way, in highest numbers throughout all of history.
We want access to water, and that is the fertile land. It makes sense. It is logical from that perspective, with the knowledge that such people had at that time.
Yeah.
Perhaps now, with a little bit different understanding and data that we can work off of, it might be better to make a different choice.
It might be. So, the flatland places, a lot of them have problems. So we live in a small valley. There's a hill behind us on most sides. We are protected here. We have crazy wind events, clouds, things, storms. Guess what? We're not on the ridge. We're down, I don't know, 100, 200 meters, whatever, from the top. So we watch the bulk of the wind go over us, and we get a little down where we are. It might hit 30, 40 miles an hour in a gust. Plastic flutters around. We literally just have tarped plastic for a lot of rain cover. Sometimes the plastic breaks. It's just cheap plastic. Our neighbors, a lot of them, some of them don't even have roof nails or screws. They just have like sheet metal sort of laying there with like tires or bamboo laying on it, and like 3 screws in the entire house. Sometimes they have, a roof failure. It's not really attached because we don't really get that kind of crazy wind. I mean,
yeah,
Then you look at like the tornado corridor of the U.S. where all the tornadoes hit, and you're like, oh man, that tears up some flatland. There's just no protection.
I know. So we used to live in the Skagit County in Washington, and we had every intention. If you don't know, we had every intention of living there once upon a time, putting down roots, forever property, everything.
Yeah.
Turns out, so much of the land there is hydric soil, which just means it is permamoist. It doesn't drain. It has a whole bunch of problems when it comes to building and septic and growing food and just generally existing in the way we want to.
Yep. Like
Flatland.
it looks fine. They graze cattle, they grow crops on it, but it spends part of the winter underwater, or the water is just below the surface. Hydric means just waterlocked.
Saturated constantly.
It's not good. It's not good.
So there's a lot of problems with flat land. Of course, there are also benefits.
Purely the cost of an engineered septic system, because you live on flat land and there's just no drainage, or you have a big clay pan or something, like
Yeah.
like
Well,
that can be staggering.
There are benefits, of course, to flatland.
Sure.
It is easier in many ways. You have all of the options of where you want to put something. It's just...
You can just take a sheet of paper and just draw it, and however you want it, you want it.
And it's sort of 2D in real life, too.
You do not have to work around the land to do it.
So for here, if we want to draw out even a section of our property to design it, you really can't do it in 2 dimensions because the land is not 2-dimensional, which means it is, 1, more complicated, but 2, far more interesting. It is just, you have this wide open, I don't know, possibility of how your land can look. It's not just that it's going to be that square that you see on the internet. That's just like this perfect, flat, I don't know.
So let's get into the aesthetics of it. Now, there is this entire, the way things have gone, like houses. We'll touch on houses for a second. You go and you want to buy a new house. They're all made with the same plywood, drywall, 2x4s, things, tile from Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever.
Yep.
The colors change. You can play with the layout. They're all very square. They're all they're all very similar in a lot of ways. And then you look in some sort of cool magazine and you like Google some cool fancy home with like railings that are made out of some sort of driftwood, and this table that was like the trunk of a tree that was, it is that thing. You worked with that thing to be beautiful, and you carved it and you polished it, and there's a bunch of like people who make fancy custom furniture on the internet. It's become a thing, and tables and stuff, and they're leaving live edges, and they're leaving that aesthetic, that interest. So when we look at our land, we're like, oh, we have a gully here, a hole here, a thing here, oh, this is a wet area, this is a dry area, and we're sort of designing with the landscape all sorts of different possibilities. Let me give you...
It's kind of amazing, honestly. It's fun.
It's a lot of fun. Let's touch for a second about like how humans remember and see things. Now, and there was just a meme going around. I look at memes. We all have our habits. About like McDonald's and restaurants and things. They're like, right? You've seen it. They're like, what happened? They're like, McDonald's used to be colors and things, and there's playgrounds and signs and stuff, and Burger King and this and that, and even Taco Bell, like I'd go. And now all of them have gone beige, brown, gray, silver, white, and just everything is just
square. Everything's square.
And it's utterly forgettable.
Yep.
That's it. You walk into a coffee shop, you don't know the name, it doesn't matter, they look the same, they have the same little fancy fake Edison light bulb things, and the same fake wood, and the same black this and that, and the same stools, and you get your coffee and you walk out, and it's forgotten. Cars. What have cars become? Blobs. There was a picture someone put up, and it was like 30 different this model year cars, and they took out the wheels. So the wheels were just simply like plain dots. You could not tell any of the 30, the Mercedes, a Buick, a Volkswagen, a Chevy, a Mazda, all of them were blobs. They're blobs of white, of champagne, of like beige, of something, they're all blobs. Is it interesting? No. Is it utterly forgettable? People are like, oh, what happened? What car cut you off? This? I don't know. It was just like a blob.
Yep.
Could have been anything. Nobody remembers that. I just did a video on a little apartment in the little like local town down the way, and I was helping plaster a ceiling. It's like my least favorite job in the whole world is doing drywall and plaster. And I think we just said that in a recent video. Like, don't ever want to do it again. And there I am doing it again. And we're making this ceiling perfectly smooth and featureless. And the guy was, we finished it up and we looked at it and he's like, oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so smooth. It's perfect, this and that. And I'm like, yeah. And he's, oh, you like it? And I'm like, no. And he looked a little offended and shocked. And I'm like, no child, like this could be a child's room, no child will ever lay in bed here and look at the ceiling and go, wow, what a perfectly smooth ceiling. I'm inspired in life. No, nothing about that room will ever be memorable other than you did something in it that had nothing to do with that work. You've literally made something that is forgettable. And is that a good idea? I don't know. Maybe. I said, but our house, and I told him, like, our new house, there's raw timbers. There's bits of tree that we've sanded and other.
The walls are not going to be perfectly flat. They're going to have character.
There'll be bumps and things, and there's character, and there's like beams going different directions, and stuff curves, and it's. And will you like lay in bed at night and look at like all the cool like twirls of the wood and knots and bits and things and stuff and like texture of the walls and imagine faces and things and like. Yes. Will you remember that room? Probably. Yeah. It lets the imagination sort of take off, and it has interest. Does it still house you? Does it still provide you a safe place to sleep without bugs or bats or dinosaurs attacking you? Yes. It does, and it's interesting to boot.
Interesting.
And it's memorable. Like people talk. There was a thing. There was I think it was like a special ed like race, and they let these kids like race, and they're all like special ed students. And like one of the kids, I think he was like in second place, and they're sort of going down the track and they're running, and he trips and falls. And the kid that's in first like hears it, and he turns around and just goes back. And he goes, oh, like his friend has fallen, and he helps him up. And then the rest of them stop, like, oh, you have fallen, like, oh, and they help him up and they dust him off and they help. Nobody remembers who won the race.
No.
Even if another kid did like run and win, like, oh, you won. Did you win? Nobody remembers. Nobody knows your name. Nobody cares. But that moment, the memorable moment, the interesting parts of life,
Rarely the perfect parts.
Are rarely the perfect parts. And I think corporate America with restaurants and things and cars has utterly forgotten about. There's people post pictures. I'm starting to see a rise of it, of like old cars. Anything from the late 1800s to about the 1950s. Things that even I, being a car aficionado, have never seen. Like, did you know Fiat made this crazy thing with fenders? And I show him to the kid. I'm like, hey, you ever seen that? And he's like, oh, what is that? And I'm like, I don't even know. And all this and that, or these concept cars from way back. But like, oh, like you could buy, like a little like Sunbeam Tiger, this tiny little like English roadster with a big V8 in it, or you could buy like this big Luxo boat, or this French like 4-door car, or a Cadillac, and they're all totally different, and they're each interesting and unique for what they do well. Cars had character and were interesting, and personalities. People used to name their cars. They used to love their cars. They used to it used to be a thing, and now they've become perfect blobs. Do they do everything better? Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they're faster. They're safer for sure. They don't leak anywhere, either oil or water. Yep, you can, without a single memory, get from place to place now.
And so there's also this supposed perfect aesthetic of a homestead. That it is those little graphics. We all know those little graphics. If you ever think about homesteading, you know the little graphics with the little house and you have the little patch of whatever you're growing, and you got this. They're all little squares.
And there's a little square of chickens, and there's a square with a cow, and there's a square with some.
And even if you could get a property and you could make that a reality, I don't know that should be the goal. There's also the safety things, the water mitigation, all of these things. But there's just the fact that that is so uninteresting. There's no personality to that.
There's not.
Someone could walk onto that homestead and be like, I don't know, it's like all the other homesteads in the world. It doesn't.
You have a lovely garden and a lovely this, and there's a little path and a little thing, and there's a gate and a thing and something. Okay. But then you go and you see, somewhere else, and it's built into a hill, and there's this cool structure. And like, did you build a tower up there? There's a tower. You're like, well, yeah, like we felt like building a tower. And it's the custom and the interesting, and sometimes the land forces you to do that.
And it also, from a practical standpoint, it allows you to grow things or raise animals in a more ideal area. So instead of just one big garden square with rows of things, where everything is going to grow in the exact same conditions. Not all plants want to grow in the same conditions. Not all animals want the same conditions. When you have a mountain property, for instance, we have spots that have more shade, more sun. We have, weird hills where we can grow things that hold the hill well and enjoy that, and we can have animals where they do best. And then we're not trying to fight the land that we have, but we're also able to work with it in a way that is the most beneficial to everything we want to do. We occasionally bemoan the fact that we don't have flat land when we're hiking up the hill, or when we had to cut in multiple steps, all awkward for our house. But our house is going to be far more interesting because of it.
The house is going to be beautiful. It's got like a bunch of, I don't know, I have like 5 different little levels and things. And and so you're going to look at this thing and be like, wow, this beautiful custom home. And people are probably going to go and, be all excited, like, oh, I want that. Sure. But then you'd have to build it the same way.
You should build it for your space.
Yes. And we built it because that was the land that we had. That was the slope. And we didn't want to overly cut the hill into. So there's bumps up where the hill naturally did that.
No, it's not to say that, having a mountain property isn't more work in some ways, because it definitely is. It is physically more work. It is also more work in the planning process, just as it is more fun, in my opinion. It is also more work. You have to be able to think outside the box. You have to be able to understand how to work with that land. Yep. It's not as easy. But in the end, at the end of your life, are you going to, on your deathbed, be like, wow, really glad I took the easiest path possible and did the least amount of work? Some people might.
Some might.
It's not us.
Or you're going to think back on all the crazy things you did, and the something and the this and that, and like, oh yeah, we had to build this thing, and then we decided to build this little bridge over the creek and the something, and we dug a cave, and this and that, and we like made cheese, and you could go like on and on and on about all these crazy cool things that you got to do, some of it which was prompted by literally the structure of the land itself.
No, we did a video, I don't know, almost a year ago maybe. So Pick Your Poison video, which kind of goes into the same concept of kind of how we started this was, what things should you consider when looking for property for your homestead, or for not even property, but general location. So you've got all of your
it's a good video.
It is.
Like, people should go back and rewatch Pick Your Poison if you haven't seen it.
I'll link it down below, so you don't have to get through all of the last however many videos we got from last year. But this is sort of an extrapolation on that idea, because it's important. Nothing's going to be perfect, and it's not for everyone, but you have to look at what you want out of your life, and you have to decide what things you're willing to put up with. Now, nowhere's perfect. Like I said, our land is not perfect.
No, but everything in life is a trade-off.
That's the point.
So let's tell you another one of our trade-offs. We have hills. Yes, it's more energy to walk up and down them. No, I can't see my neighbor.
Oh, that's
There's
true.
a hill in the way. I really, point. Unless he blasts his giant stereo, ever hear him, which he doesn't do that often. There's people that live over the hill behind us. Wouldn't know, never met them.
Nope.
Don't hear them, don't see them, don't smell them. So how far do you have to be on flat land to have a sense of privacy, of solitude?
Much farther. Goodness. So far.
So far.
Yeah.
But here, the hills, you know, so we have protection from the wind. We have protection from floods, from rain, from neighbors, from noise, from...
Now, as far as floods go, we do have a river, a small river, but it's way the heck down there. Way down
I
there.
don't know that it qualifies as a river.
It's just
It's a
creek.
it's a good-sized
We
creek.
call it a river. It's
Yeah.
a creek. It will never affect us. There is nothing that could happen.
It could get to be 100 times bigger.
It still isn't going to affect us.
You know, it'd still be down there.
It'll be down there.
Now, we'd lose our road out.
So that is an important point. Yes, we would lose our road out. But that's okay. I mean, is it ideal? No. Would it get fixed eventually? Yeah. We'd survive. You could pick somewhere where you would have constant access, where there's no risk of anything happening to your road. But what else will you not have? Will you not have water on your property? Well, that's not something we wanted. We wanted water on our property, which means then we have a risk of that water damaging something.
But we have water flowing out of the mountain and down a little valley next to us. We can drink that water. We can use it for our gardens, for our things. We could make a little hydroelectric setup if we wanted to try to exploit that.
Which you can't do on flatland.
No, it's called dig a well if you're allowed to, with permits and a lot of money. Of questionable quality, because then you get into all of the things that end up in well water, which is a lot of human waste, pharmaceuticals, terrible things. Used to be that well water was clean. There's been enough time where people have been on land that things have soaked through aquifers. You're now getting ick.
Yeah. All that to be said, we like our mountain. We are feeling pretty good about it, especially today.
Yeah, we went down and we looked around and we watched, fields flooding and people's houses flooding, and we watched, 20 minutes away, whole towns, things, waters, coming up, people's houses. And this isn't just here. This is,
there's a lot of things you can survive in life. Even an earthquake. Like we've had little earthquakes, and while the current thing that we're sitting on is not going to hold up.
Have you ever been on a waterbed when an earthquake's happened?
I'll shake. Whee!
Literally, the whole house just shook.
God, it's horrible.
It's sort of like that.
It's real bad. But that's besides the point, because this is not really supposed to be here any longer. But you can survive an earthquake if you build correctly and you're intelligent about what you do. I was talking about this on our drive today. You can't really stop water. You can try.
You can mitigate it to a certain level.
But if it's a river flooding,
take Helene.
Hurricane Helene was like, you can't stop it. There's no stopping it.
Can you see the river? Are you within 50 feet of it? You're boned.
Or not, even sometimes. Like, it just comes out of nowhere.
But you were too close to the water.
Yeah.
And it bit you. And it's lovely and picturesque, and it's a 1,000-year event and all that.
There's been enough of those 5,000-year events in the last year that...
The number of those kind of events seems to be increasing.
So if you are looking to endeavor upon starting a homestead, buying land, and you're like, I really want flatland, because I think we all start with, I really want flatland.
Well, and pick your poison.
You might not want to.
And pick your poison. We go through this. Like, it's easy to see, well, here's a volcano. Don't be near the volcano. Here's Hurricane Alley. Don't be in Hurricane Alley. Here's a coast. Tsunamis. Don't be here. Don't be there. Here. There's actually a huge meth problem in it. Maybe we don't want that. What about this? What about that? Oh, this is a super fun site because that company and the thing and those chemicals, can't be there. So you start going around and you start looking, and you pick your poison. You make your trade-offs. What you want, what you can live with.
So we chose to live with lots of steps and lots of terracing.
We don't have chemicals. We don't have meth heads.
But
we don't
aside
have...
from that, like just from flat to mountain land, we decided to put up with all of those inconveniences and a little bit more work.
It's cheaper too.
Stronger legs, because so much hill. We decided to put up with all of those things. One, because it was cheaper.
And we didn't have the money for flat
2,
land,
because
which is probably good. Had we had the money for flat
we might
land,
have done it.
we
and that
might have
have
done
been
it.
terrible. But if I could go back, I would do it all over again and not
Yep.
have flat land.
In hindsight.
Because the flat land poses risks I am unwilling to put up with. That's just what it is.
And then there's, we could like walk down here and up there and over that little ridge and the thing and this and
Sometimes
that.
we find random hidden little spots.
Different in that little, like, in the other pig area, we clear an area where like, this area is actually like really flat and lovely things. And there's like just little areas all over.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. So there you go.
Why you might not want flat land.
Why you might not.
Yep.
So if you thought this was interesting, please subscribe, like it, share. Share is the important thing here. Like, we don't get enough like sharing going on. It helps us. So with that, thank you for watching. We'll see you for the next one.